Andrew Thomas, the 4th overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, one of the top 4 tackles out of that class, and somebody that was once regarded as the best left tackle in college football. The entire nation had a rough start to his career, a rough rookie year, and for some reason is now being given up on by Giants media, reporters, and even Giants fans. That's why we need to talk. Now, leading up to the draft, Thomas was for the most part the #1 consensus left tackle very early on in the draft process. It wasn't until the NFL Combine and until later on that teams started to notice these other 3 tackles. At the beginning, it was just Georgia Bulldog Thomas and Alabama tackle Jedrick Wills, 2 guys who were both really fundamentally sound and at the top of their game at the time. And after the NFL Combine, 2 more worthy opponents came through: Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa and Mekhi Becton out of Louisville. One, an athletic freak at the tackle position, and the other, a gargantuan specimen of epic proportions. Now, leading up to the draft, these 4 basically battled out for who would be the best tackle in 2020, and it was one of the more exciting and one of the more lucrative tackle classes in recent NFL history. Thomas still managed to go as the first tackle in the draft, 4th overall to the Giants, a very high place to take a franchise tackle, but they hoped that it was the right move and they hoped that it would work out. Unfortunately, he had a rough start to his career. And it is this, in combination with the fact that his draft mates had better rookie seasons, as to why fans are a bit concerned. But if we were to just go over the stats and leave out context, then, well, sports as we know it in sports history wouldn't be the same. We need to include that context. First of all, though, let us get to those stats. As a rookie tackle for the Giants, Thomas managed to start 15 out of their 16 games at that position. And that one game he didn't start, which was week 6 against Washington, he still managed to log in 46% of the snaps. In fact, he had played 100% of the snaps except for San Francisco, 96, and then Washington again, 88. Thomas was pretty consistent with starting for the Giants and in terms of availability, and for the first half of the season, it was not a pretty party. In fact, it got to the point where his former college coach said he doesn't know what the Giants are doing with the great tackle that he was, and that he does not look the same. Now, then in the second half of the season, we saw major improvements from Andrew Thomas, almost like he went through some type of metamorphosis over the bye week, and he finished really strong. In fact, he logged really great games, such as one against Seattle, where he didn't allow a single sack or pressure and graded out as one of the best offensive linemen in the league that week. If we're to move over to Tristan Wirfs really quickly, we see that he was someone that started all of the games and played 100% of the snaps for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as their right, not left, tackle. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, of course, which were the best team in the NFL this year. They just took home their Super Bowl trophy, and in his rookie year, Tristan Wirfs is a champion. Now, that being said, Wirfs, of course, because you play with such a good team, you are bound to have a good time in your own individual stats. You're in an offensive line that works really well together, and you're playing with a very experienced quarterback, somebody a lot of people consider the greatest quarterback of all time. It only eases the load on yourself as what you have to do in an offensive lineman, and if your offensive scheme works, once again, it only works in your favor. So Wirfs was probably the tackle in this class with the best positioning, and I'm not taking away from his own talent and work. I'm just saying he had it easier than anybody else in this class for sure. As a result, Wirfs only allowed 1 sack the entire year and had a pass blocking grade of 78.2, which was second out of these 4 guys. Jedrick Wills was another person that was thrust into a great situation, playing right tackle, not left, for the Cleveland Browns, and once again, another offense that was one of the best in the league that really worked well, whose scheme helped them, and an offensive line that admittedly, this is post-editing Kush here, I said the Browns were not the best. I was wrong. They were the best offensive line in the NFL. The Browns offense was no joke, and he did start every single game up until the divisional round where they got eliminated. Now, Wills, like I said, was the most technically sound tackle coming out of the draft class, so for him to start off on the ground running is no surprise. He only allowed 4 sacks on the year and graded out with a pass blocking grade of 79.8, which is the best in these 4 guys. And now then, if we're finally to look to Mekhi Becton, who was the guy with the biggest boom but biggest bust potential in the draft, he was someone that's shown in both aspects. When he was on the field, he was an absolute monster. However, that was the problem for the most part. He wasn't on the field as much as you would like him to be. Missing weeks 5, 6, and 10 for the Jets. And in 6 of the games that he did play, he did not get that 100% snap count. Becton went out to allow 7 sacks on the year, and his pass blocking grade was 71.2. And this is where it definitely gets concerning for Thomas, who allowed 10 sacks on the year and had a pass blocking grade of 48.4. Definitely, without a doubt, the worst out of the 4 tackles, but let us apply some context here. Thomas was in probably the second worst situation out of these 4 guys, and I will give credit to one Mekhi Becton. He was the only one on a team whose offense was worse than the Giants, the Jets. Those 2 teams were battling for the worst offense in the league, and Becton did manage to overcome it at times. However, unlike Thomas, Becton at least had a stable offensive line coach. Andrew Thomas went through 2, you could even say 3 different offensive line coaches throughout the year. For the first half, when he really struggled a lot and when he had his worst games, there was Mark Colombo. Mark Colombo was then fired, and Joe Judge for a short amount of time was the one strictly coaching the offensive line until Dave DeGuglielmo came in and was the Giants' new offensive line coach. And it's still not quite clear how much impact Dave had or even how much he coached up the line, because as soon as the season ended, he was out of New York. And in addition to that, Andrew Thomas, unlike the other guys here, was playing through an injury for the entirety of his rookie season, the 2020 season, on a left ankle injury, and there's really no telling just how much this might have affected him during the season. Now, does playing through an injury and facing an unstable coaching situation completely excuse his first half performance? No, but it does provide a lot of needed context. And that was the point of this video, and that is not where that video ends, because we need to head to the comment section, and that's where we need to talk. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'll catch y'all in the next one.